further from this state.
No, I just wanted to let the court know and counsel know and the defendant know that I did have a chance to speak with Ms. Johnson yesterday at a pre-scheduled meeting we had with an advocate by phone, and we talked a lot about this plea, and she understands what we were going to do today. She was notified yesterday when our office heard that it was going to be a plea, so she had noticed at least if she wanted to be present, but that she knew that I was offering a probation. She still was, I can let the courts know that she still was not happy that the defendant was having to plead to the charges, but happy that he was not going to prison. And I do think this is a good resolution, Your Honor. There's been extensive negotiations, motions, and I do hope that the defendant can comply with the probation, meet the criteria. We did have a lengthy discussion about the sex offender treatment, etc. He has to have an evaluation according to the conditions. But if that comes back that he doesn't need any sex offender treatment, then he doesn't have to do sex offender treatment. Promoting prostitution by law is a registrable offense, so he does have to register. I provided that to Ms. Ryder, and he'll have to sign that today. But it's not the typical sex abuse type conviction that the state has concerns of him having any kind of a sexual abuse to children or anything of that nature. So we
and he's not allowed to even participate. He's already missed out the first half of the year of his son participating in school. You know, he's not able to go to parent.
There's a couple things that we have to be very mindful of. One is that we have court documentation stating that your husband is a registered sex offender. I want to back up for just a second. I'm hearing you, and I hear that you've got concerns about what I'm hearing you say is that your concern is that your husband is not able to come to the school to pick up or drop off your kiddo. Is that what I'm hearing?
And he's not allowed to even participate. He's already missed out the first half of the year of his son participating in school. You know, he's not able to go to parent.
That. There's a couple things that we have to be very mindful of. One is that we have court documentation stating that your husband is a registered sex offender. We have also received instructions from the Department of Justice from his parole officer stating that a condition of his SO status is that he cannot be around minor children.
And you know what's so funny?
But for us, that is where this all ends. That is the bottom line for us. We are a licensed preschool. We cannot go against legal documentation that has come to us stating, one, that he is in fact a registered sex offender, and that condition of his release, condition of that parole, is he is not allowed to be around other minor children. So at this point, because he is a registered sex offender and he has parole conditions, we are obligated legally to follow them.
Okay.
by phone, and we talked a lot about this plea, and she understands what we were going to do today. She was notified yesterday when our office heard that it was going to be a plea, so she had noticed at least if she wanted to be present, but that she knew that I was offering a probation. She still was, I can let the courts know that she still was not happy that the defendant was having to plead to the charges, but happy that he was not going to prison. And I do think this is a good resolution, Your Honor. There's been extensive negotiations, motions, and I do hope that the defendant can comply with the probation, meet the criteria. we did have a lengthy discussion about the sex offender treatment, etc. He has to have an evaluation according to the conditions. But if that comes back that he doesn't need any sex offender treatment, then he doesn't have to do sex offender treatment. Promoting prostitution by law is a registrable offense, so he does have to register. I provided that to Ms. Ryder, and he'll have to sign that today. But it's not the typical sex abuse type conviction that the state has concerns of him having any kind of a sexual abuse to children or anything of that nature. So,
because I know I've proved beyond reasonable doubt by taking polygraphs that I'm not a sex offender.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. The sex offender registration rules are by statute. And that means that somebody went to the legislature and got them to do some things and put some things in a list. And the governor signed it, and there you go. Okay.
a registrable offense, so he does have to register. I provided that to Ms. Ryder, and he'll have to sign that today. But it's not the typical sex abuse type conviction that the state has concerns of him having any kind of a sexual abuse to children or anything of that nature. So
I want to back up for just a second, because I'm hearing you, and I hear that you've got concerns about what I'm hearing you say is that your concern is that your husband is not able to come to the school to pick up or drop off
Well,
your kiddo. Is that what I'm hearing?
and he's not allowed to even participate. He's already missed out the first half of the year of his son participating in school. You know, he's not able to go
I do.
to
I
parent.
understand that. There's a couple things that we have to be very mindful of. One is that we have court documentation stating that your husband is a registered sex offender. We have also received instructions from the Department of Justice, from his parole officer, stating that a condition of his SO status is that he cannot be around minor children.
And you know what's so funny?
For us, that is where this all ends. That is the bottom line for us. We are a licensed preschool. We cannot go against legal documentation that has come to us stating, one, that he is in fact a registered sex offender, and that condition of his release, condition of that parole, is he is not allowed to be around other minor children. So at this point, because he is a registered sex offender and he has parole conditions, we are obligated legally to follow them.
Okay.
If y'all can see what I'm doing is I'm pointing out all the technicalities. Now, one video that I will go back to do is where Susan Tripp, the Honorable Judge Susan Tripp, is talking about someone went to a legislator, got them to do some things. You know, I've been investigating these people for 7 years, going on 7 years in May. Right, and what I'm telling people is the racial ethnic disparity problem is real, and I want y'all to pay close attention to what this judge is saying to me. I told her I've proved beyond reasonable doubt by taking polygraphs that I'm not no sex offender. So what happened was, in my investigation, my private PI, private investigator, gave me some information that pointed me towards who this legislator was. Now, John Kroger is no longer working. He retired. You know, most of them do. So I'm used to dealing with retired people. But John Kroger and Douglas Hanson is working as a team with the Attorney General, the Department of Justice. That's why you hear in the video, I want to back up just 1 minute. We received instructions. But and this lady that you hearing from, her name is Shannon, and she worked for the Mount Hood Community College. And what they was doing was segregating me away from the school, away from children. But it's contradicting because Douglas Hanson says that this is not the typical type of case where the state has any concerns with me and minor children, but somehow they did a lot of dirt to me. I mean, a lot of dirt. They put safety plans on me. They made sure me and my son was segregated when I picked him up. He only could get on the school bus to go to school. And what I just want people to understand what this man Douglas Hanson is doing. Listen to this.
The conditions, but if that comes back that he doesn't need any sex offender treatment, then he doesn't have to do sex offender treatment. Promoting prostitution by law is a registrable offense, so he does have to register. I provided that to Ms. Ryder, and he'll have to sign that today. But it's not the typical sex abuse type conviction that the state has concerns of him having any kind of a sexual abuse to children. Or
if that's the case, Douglas Hanson, then why was DHS in my life? Why did there be an investigation on me involved in me for sexually exploiting my children? And the thing is, I'm not going to even lie. I'm going to put on the evidence, because that's what I'm here to do in this year, is to put on the evidence. If this is not the typical type of case where the state have any concerns of me and minor children, how am I a high-risk predatory sex offender that have to register for life? Nobody can answer me that question. Nobody can answer that question for me, because y'all not going through it, so y'all don't have to worry about it. So what I've been doing lately is crying and complaining about what this man Douglas Hanson has been doing to me and my family, as far as labeling me a predatory sex offender to my own wife, which was 26 years old at the time. And I hear time and time again, he couldn't do that. That's your wife. Let me tell you something. This prosecutor, Douglas Hanson, can do whatever he wants, and he holds leverage over people. He holds leverage over people. That's what he do. And that's why I put these pictures up there, but I'm going to get rid of them and I'm going to see something. Get rid of some of this stuff. I need to be seeing what I'm doing here. I'm really serious about proving my innocence, because nobody wants to be labeled no sex offender. I don't care who you is, what you've been through. You don't want to be labeled that. That is bad for a person's health. It's bad for a person's future. Bad for a person's career. It kills off any opportunity a person have, or what is going on? So what I'm gonna do is bring out my DHS report. If it opens up, man, what is going on here? I'm having difficulties opening up my stuff. So what I'm gonna do is this. So while I'm explaining this, let me just explain this to you guys. They supposed to have labeled me and classified me. And we're gonna go back to that real quick. he has to take an evaluation. If the evaluation come back, and I'm gonna post the evaluation.
Today she was notified yesterday when our office heard that it was going to be a plea. So she had noticed at least if she wanted to be present, but that she knew that I was offering a probation. She still was, I can let the courts know that she still was not happy that the defendant was having to plead to the charges, but happy that he was not going to prison. And I do think this is a good resolution, Your Honor. There's been extensive negotiations, motions, and I do hope that the defendant can comply with the probation, meet the criteria. We did have a lengthy discussion about the sex offender treatment, etc. He has to have an evaluation according to the conditions. But if that comes back that he doesn't need any sex offender treatment, then he doesn't have to do sex offender treatment. Promoting prostitution by law is a registrable offense, so he does have to register. I provided that to Ms. Ryder, and he'll have to sign that today. But it's not the typical sex abuse type conviction that the state has concerns of him having any kind of a sexual abuse to children or anything of that nature. So we understand that hopefully this will be a limited type of probation where he can actually comply and complete it and be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have judgments for me?
The UCJ's
That's right, UCJ's. Okay. All right. Go ahead and have a seat, Mr. Johnson, and
These people had it out for me. They trailed me, right, and then they forced me into taking a deal. I'm saying I'm not no sex offender. I'm saying it on court audio. My dad and them telling me, you ain't stepping up, you ain't fighting. I'm like, if you was there with me, you would know. But I had no support. I had no support in all of this. And yet I still found a way to not go to prison. I never went to prison. And I remind you, I'm a mandatory sentence on the grid. You know what I'm saying? I'm mandatory sentence on the grid. So what I want to bring up is this force out sheet right here. You will see a force out sheet of me right here. And the reason for this force out sheet, right, is because the prosecutor, Douglas Hanson, failed to file any charges on me, felony charges within 72 hours. What they was manipulating was the fact that I had previous DOC charges, but I was already off of the parole. So somewhere behind my back, behind the scenes, they lied to the Marion County Sheriffs and told them that I had a PO hold. And the PO was about to sanction me, and it was supposed to be hold for a hearing back down in Multnomah County, but I never got transferred to Multnomah County to have any PO. And the last PO I had on my case, she had left. So her name was Nicole Henning. She went on with her career. So I think I got a lot of stuff up in here, man. You go see what I'm talking about here. Dang. Got too much stuff open. Sorry, I got way too much stuff open because I was like teaching so many classes that all this stuff is coming up. So this is why you hear Douglas Hanson saying I had a discussion with the wife. Let's go back real quick.
all the special conditions of children and all defendant may have contact with Jessica Johnson, his children,
Of course,
and all
she's my
minor
wife.
children within his extended family,
She's my
which
wife.
shall be on the judgment. A blood or buccal sample Sex offender registration, fines and fees, $200, felony, $1,200. And the $1,200 shall be paid from the money seized in 14-18189 Salem PD case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything further from the state?
No, I just wanted to let the court know and counsel know and the defendant know that I did have a chance to speak with Ms. Johnson yesterday at a pre-scheduled meeting we.
So he wasn't supposed to do that because he's violating the spousal privilege. In any criminal proceeding, neither spouse during the marriage shall be examined adversity against the other as to any matter occurring during the marriage unless the spouse called as a witness consent to testify. Douglas Hanson took it upon himself to take the law into his own hands. That's basically all that is. And I'm going to keep on blasting that, right? Not only that, if you think about what's going on here, this is an email from Gail Ryder. It says, I know you continue to be upset because you did not get a preliminary hearing. Pleading no contest to the drug charges does not mean that you cannot pursue a civil suit against Kerry Weiland if you want to. Period. They took away my preliminary hearing rights from me. They took away all my rights. Actually, everything that I went through with them people, I didn't stand a chance. So right here, if you look, before I get out of this, I'm gonna get out of this too. All PVs was supposed to go back to Susan Tripp. You see right there, Judge Tripp, plea, PV, hearings, trial, Susan Tripp. Right there, all the paperwork is pointing at Susan Tripp. But I never went to see Susan Tripp because Susan Tripp recused herself off my case. So I went to see several different judges. Right, y'all see what I'm doing here. Fake search warrants. I'm just clearing out all this and bringing out some new info. Bring it out. It should. Who is these people? Who's these people? Who's these people that's willing to do a wicked job for Douglas Hanson? I like for y'all to see their face. Along with the DHS reports. Your face is in the picture too much, bruh. You gotta get over it, son. These two people, David Schietzler and Catherine Gorch, is supposed to be the sex offenders treatment programs that I was supposed to have been into. But obviously I didn't go to either one. And what I'm going to do is show you guys the DHS report that was put behind my back, proving to you guys that this man, Douglas Hanson, is no good. He's no good. He said it's not the typical type of case, right? But behind the scenes, he was posing as Department of Justice. Not only was he posing as Department of Justice, he was also pretending to be my parole officer to a certain individual.
Hey, cut it.
Yeah.
Bubba is being rude, calling
Man, they both being rude.
No, niggas don't be rude, bro.
Hey, tell them don't play with them. Just tell them don't play with them. I'm not trying to argue with you, Cuddy, but that's childish, and I'm busy right now.
But he's crying.
Well, I don't know what to tell them. They both saying the same thing to each other, cussing at each other. He ain't innocent. But what I'm going to do is tell him don't play with him no more.
Yep.
Sorry. Sorry, y'all have to hear that, but my cousin called me, so I have to take care of something. When your kid get out of pocket, you gotta check them. Back to what I was saying about this. Let's get to Douglas Hanson real quick. I'm gonna have to play these videos.
We had with an advocate by phone, and we talked a lot about this plea, and she understands what we were going to do today. She was notified yesterday when our office heard that it was going to be a plea, so she had noticed at least if she wanted to be present, but that she knew that I was offering a probation. She still was, I can let the courts know that she still was not happy that the defendant was having to plead to the charges, but happy that he was not going to prison. And I do think this is a good resolution, Your Honor. There's been extensive negotiations, motions, and I do hope that the defendant can comply with the probation, meet the criteria. We did have a lengthy discussion about the sex offender treatment, etc. He has to have an evaluation according to the conditions. But if that comes back that he doesn't need any sex offender treatment, then he doesn't have to do sex offender treatment. Promoting prostitution by law is a registrable offense, so he does have to register. I provided that to Ms. Ryder, and he'll have to sign that today. But it's not the typical sex abuse type conviction that the state has concerns of him having any kind of a sexual abuse to children or anything of that nature. So we understand that hopefully this will be a limited type of probation where he can actually comply and complete it and be.
So what is these sex offender therapists doing? Why are they going after my mental health? Why are they constantly trying to break HIPAA violation? And why are they trying to act like I don't know what I'm talking about, as if I'm not making sense? These people have gone too far, and I'm not going to sit back and let them take me through another year of heartache, another year of pain and suffering. Right now, this lady, Catherine Gottridge, got a sex offender evaluation set up for me, right? January 5th, right? I'm refusing to take that evaluation on the fact that David Schiesler already gave it to me, and they made a choice not to put the paperwork into Department of Corrections in order to get me the relief that I desperately deserve, because I'm not supposed to even be on it. Like you hear this prosecutor Douglas Hanson say, it's not the typical type of case where the state got any concerns, but then he goes behind the scenes and he make contact with my son's school from Mountain Hood Community College, and we recording everything, because we know that Douglas Hanson is a puppet master, and he moving his strings, and he moving people to his beat, to his tune, right? So listen to this lady Shannon that my wife reached out to in order to stop the hate. I tried to actually put in paperwork. I'm like, if y'all don't want to hear it from me and y'all think I'm lying, well, this is what the prosecutor said, and I actually produced my transcripts to my son's school while they put the illegal safety plan on me. There was no reason to put a safety plan on me during the time of my son's school, because Douglas Hanson, the prosecutor, said they didn't have concerns. So when did it become a concern with the parole and probation officers, Paul Lively and Stephanie Allen? These people had dogged me out. They continuously is dogging me, and I'm actually gonna bring out the paperwork. They not gonna get away with it. They not. So let's run through this, where Douglas Hanson is portraying to be a parole officer working for DOJ.
It's Maya. She's gonna tell you the truth, because I wasn't even cussing at Miss.
I don't care. I'm not with all that childish stuff.
No.
Take this phone upstairs and talk to your cousin.
I want to back up for just a second, because I'm hearing you, and I hear that you've got concerns about what I'm hearing you say is that your concern is that your husband is not able to come to the school to pick up or drop off
Well,
your kiddo. Is that what I'm hearing?
that, and he's not allowed to even participate. He's already missed out the first half of the year of his son's participating in school. You know, he's not able to go
I do.
to
I
parent.
understand that. There's a couple things that we have to be very mindful of. One is that we have court documentation stating that your husband is a registered sex offender. We have also received instructions from the Department of Justice, from his parole officer,
What?
stating that a condition of his SO status is that he cannot be around minor children.
And you know what's so funny?
But for us, that is where this all ends. That is the bottom line for us. We are a licensed preschool. We cannot go against legal documentation that has come to us stating, one, that he is in fact a registered sex offender, and that condition of his release, condition of that parole, is he is not allowed to be around other minor children. So at this point, because he is a registered sex offender and he has parole conditions, we are obligated legally to follow them.
And that's all Douglas Hanson orchestrating that, using an office for personal gain. First of all, I was never on parole. I was told that I was on probation. Then on top of that, we called the Department of Justice in Oregon, and we found out that they don't even do stuff like that. They don't have parole officers at the Department of Justice. So when this lady received this phone call, it was Douglas Hanson covering himself, because I was applying too much pressure. And what happened was, it was turning into a civil suit, because it was defamation of my character, solely because they chose not to listen to the paperwork or receive the court audio transcripts.
That the state has concerns the conditions, but if that comes back that he doesn't need any sex offender treatment, then he doesn't have to do sex offender treatment. Promoting prostitution by law is a registrable offense, so he does have to register. I provided that to Ms. Ryder, and he'll have to sign that today. But it's not the typical sex abuse type conviction that the state has concerns of him having any kind of a sexual abuse to children.
So why would you go and put in a fraudulent DHS report? We get into this DHS report, and it takes a person with a whole lot of guts to do what I'm doing, right? As far as bringing this stuff to the table, because what I'm doing is explaining to you how Douglas Hanson went further than what prosecuted me, right? So right here, you see where it says my name, Matthew Johnson. Then it says alleged victim, Matthew Johnson. That's my son, the third, right? And then it says alleged predator, Matthew M. Johnson. Then AP, right? Relationship to victim, father. So basically what they saying is that I created a threat of harm, sexual exploitation. If you understand what sexual exploitation is, then you understand that's sickening. I would never ever commit any type of sexual acts with my wife in front of my children. That is just not right. That's violating my marital right again, because what Douglas Hanson said, the allegation is that I had sexual exploitation towards my child. That and it wasn't just towards Matthew. January 4th, 2016. Threat of harm. And this case has been assigned to 24-hour Skylar Kendall hotline supervisor due to allegations of threat of harm for sexual abuse. The charges in 5/19/2014 charges were reviewed in e-court and it was indicated that Matthew was convicted of delivery of oxycodone within 1,000 feet of a school. He was also convicted of promoting prostitution out of Marion County. And promoting prostitution charge, it is a condition that have no contact with minors due to his sexual offense. What sexual offense did I have? I was not charged with no sexual offense. Just look at Douglas Hanson on his own. He's contradicting himself. He's contradicting himself on so many levels.
Offense, so he does have to register. I provided that to Mr. He doesn't need any sex offender treatment, and I do hope that the defendant can comply with the probation, meet the criteria. We did have a lengthy discussion about the sex offender treatment, etc. He has to have an evaluation according to the conditions. But if that comes back that he doesn't need any sex offender treatment, then he doesn't have to do sex offender treatment. Promoting prostitution by law is a registrable offense, so he does have to register. I provided that to Ms. Ryder, and he'll have to sign that today. But it's not the typical sex abuse type conviction that the state has concerns of him having any kind of a sexual abuse to children or.
So if that's the case, who called and made this faulty DHS, Department of Human Services? And it's pointing to Douglas Hanson because he works for the Department of Justice. He can go into doors other attorneys can't go into. Even though he's not supposed to be in that area, he has, this is the true definition of taking the office for personal gain. Promoting prostitution out of Marion County. The promoting prostitution charge condition that he have no contact with minors due to his sexual offense, right? Ain't that contradicting? Because he's saying on court audio transcript that it's not the typical type of case where the state have any concerns. But then in my judgment, don't have contact with no child, no kids, no nothing. What is going on here? Why is it hard for people to see? Matthew is residing with the Marion and is having contact with Matthew III, creating threat of harm for sex abuse to both children. But if you think about what they said in this court audio transcript, is that, let's get back to Susan Tripp reading it.
Comply with all drug conditions that are imposed as part of Marion County Court's sentences. Blood or buccal sample, license suspension for 6 months, fines and fees of $200, attorney's fees of $1,035, and the condition that you comply with the conditions of count 2. In count 2, I'll find that you're in 8B again, 35 to 40 months, that there's a stipulated, and the court agrees to dispositionally and downwardly depart to 36 months of supervised probation. All the general conditions apply. All the special conditions.
Come on, she just don't want to do it.
Okay, the sex offender
She didn't
packet.
even know.
Comply
She
with
a
count
judge.
1. Defendant may have contact with Jessica Johnson, his children, and all minor children within his extended family.
The judge said it, he agreed to it, but behind the scenes, after they charged me, after they said that I can have contact with my kids, they created a DHS report behind the scenes and said that I had sexual exploitation towards my children. After they gave me permission to be back with my children, they tried to take my kids away from me for being charged with the crime of promoting prostitution. I'm charged with the crime. What do you mean? I'm married to my wife. Me and my wife have sexual interactions all the time. If that's the case, you know what I'm saying? So I just don't get why people is so subjected to hearing how I'm dealing with this hate and nobody ain't helping me and nobody is pushing me to the right civil attorneys that's willing to help guide and fight for the justice. Don't wait until I'm another dead person, a dead black man by the system, and y'all then scream Black Lives Matter justice for Matthew Johnson. I have paved the way to feel like if anything happened to me, somebody will see the hard work that I've done since 2014, since fighting the case. I've been going live, and it's taking its toll on me. But I know that I'm not supposed to give up. I know I'm not supposed to surrender, and I'm not going to, because this stuff right here is bad. Because even dealing with the PO, Paul Lively, he claims that this is the most bizarre case that he ever seen. This is another investigation that these people found that I wasn't even a sex offender. But yet all the paperwork and all the harassment and them forcing me to go to David Sheetzer and Catherine Gotch and them working behind the scenes, the Department of Community Justice, and they doing favors for each other, crossing jurisdiction. All that matters to me, and I'm pointing it out as they watch me, so they know that come on, they damage me. They damage me. I'm trying to look for. Let's see. And in this writing that you see, they doing their investigation and they figure it out if I'm this high-risk predatory sex offender that Douglas Hanson claim I am by the paperwork. And nobody is coming back with he's a pedophile. They actually, the caller states that Matthew Johnson keep mentioning that he's a level 3 sex offender, but he has not provided further details about this potential crime. Now, that's a lie because I've been going live for 7 years almost explaining how I'm not a sex offender. So why wouldn't I tell them? So whoever this caller is basically trying to cover up what I've already put out there. And all I do is say is Douglas Hanson. Matthew also says that he has no criminal charges in regards to being a level 3 sex offender. He appears to possibly have some mental health concerns, but it is unclear what those concerns are. See, they quickly try to throw you that mental word out there, mental health, mental this, because Matthew is telling the truth. So what I want to do is try to breeze through this real quick. And said that he's sleeping. He did not provide me with more specific. He said that he is trying to get back together with his family, but that is currently it is just him and his daughter that's living together. Equal was searched, and it was determined that Matthew Johnson has a 2001 robbery charge, unlawful use of a weapon in 2009, and a delivery of an oxycodone within 1,000 feet of a school, and promoting prostitution of 5/19/2014. But where is the unlawful delivery charge? The charge in 2000, the charges in the 5/19/2014 charges were reviewed in e-court, and it indicated that Matthew was convicted of delivery of an oxycodone within 1,000 feet of the school. He also was convicted of promoting prostitution, and the promoting prostitution charge, it is a condition that he have no contact with minors due to his sexual offense. Matthew is residing with the minor and has contact with Matthew III, creating a threat of harm for sexual abuse to both children. So they overlooking the judgment where the special condition is that I can have let's bring up the judge. Let's just bring you guys up that judgment real quick, so that way you guys could see what I'm talking about. Oh, it's no food, no life. That's the way I wanted it to be. I can ask the attention. Only care for me. I didn't feel good enough. So look right here. Pleads no contest to both charges in count 1 and 2 listed in an indictment. How is that even a plea bargain? What am I pleading to if you're not dropping anything, Douglas Hanson? This is the worst plea in America. You didn't even drop any charges to get me to plead to anything. And then you said dispositional departure, 36 months supervised probation, all general conditions, right? All standard drug conditions, all sex offender conditions, including registering. They added that in there on me. They added that blood buccal sample. I've never given a blood buccal sample. I have never given one. That's period, point blank, to the facts. 6 months of my driver's license suspended. I've served that. How can you pay that back to me? You know what I'm saying? 200 fines on each count, which equaled out to 400. Court-appointed attorney fees, $1,019, because y'all attorneys kept withdrawing off my case because I wouldn't take the plea bargain. But the most important thing is agreed to allow the defendant to have contact with Jessica Johnson and his children. Well, in a DHS report, you saying that I'm creating a threat of harm. You saying I'm creating a threat of harm to my children. See that? Creating a threat or harm to his children, but agreed to have. But we're going to look further into this 7-page document stipulated by the parties where it says list the following aggravating or mitigating factors. He couldn't list any, so he said stipulated. And my attorney Gil Ryder never explained that to me, but this is the longest judgment I ever seen. And I was like, where did Douglas Hanson get all this from? What packets did he took a little bit from every packet, but what we looking for is the special conditions which allow me to have contact with my children right here. Defendant may have contact with Jessica Johnson, his children and minor children within his extended family. And if you don't believe me, let's listen to Trick tell you it.
And that you're in 8B again, 35 to 40 months, that there's a stipulated and the court agrees to dispositionally and downwardly depart to 36 months of supervised probation. All the general conditions apply. All the special conditions of
Sex offender packet.
Okay, the sex offender packet comply with count 1. Defendant may have contact with Jessica Johnson, his children, and all minor children within his extended family, which shall be on the judgment.
So again, explain to me how I'm creating a threat or harm to my children if these people charging me said that I'm allowed to be with my children. They tried to send me on a mental. I'm telling you, if I would have lost my kids behind this, God knows what I would have done. Do you know how many nights I cried? How many times I thought to myself, if I get a knock at the door and it's going to be the sheriffs and 2 DHS workers to take my kids because nobody want to give me a fair chance. And then I go live and people just really look past me. But what if it was you? What if it was your kids? What if it was you happen to go through all the stuff that I'm going through? What if, right? So, I'll take you to the ICE program. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to click off of that. I'm going to save that real quick. And what we're going to be doing is talking about this dude real quick. Innovative counseling. ICE program. Every time I'm dealing with somebody, I'm dealing with the top person. He's the director of innovative counseling. It's his business. He get paid by the county to put on sex offender risk assessments, as do Catherine Gotch. But if she's smart, she wouldn't even communicate with me. She'll be watching and she'll know that what I'm about to explain to her, she better go get some help. She better go tell on the Department of Community Justice, Tony Gray, for even reaching out to her with the corruption. Now she's liable. Now she's tied into it because I've talked to her on the phone and in emails. You know, everything on recording or that I got is forced by them because I have no other way to prove my innocence. So what I want to do is this. I want to let y'all in on my first little interview with David Sheeser.
They didn't give me the treatment because my mental, but they've been locking me up in and out of jail.
If you think about me, I'm saying I've been calling myself undercover corruptions for a long time. And the reason for that undercover corruption is because I actually wore wires dealing with these people.
What are you going to do about that? Because he's their boss covering for them. And that CD that I gave you proves it beyond reasonable doubt that they all need to hoops working together, not giving me the treatment because they know there is no victim. And they know that y'all go hard about situations like that, especially if you got the sex.
David Sheeser, I went to him before anything, and he still listened to Dylan Arthur in the Department of Community Justice.
So he's not. So that list that you have is a list showing like all the clients that we have. So that list, his name is not on at all.
So usually you sign everything. So how did I sign a release? You signed it, but they never sent it.
I signed a release, but they never sent it to him.
That's my signature.
Yeah, a letter.
It was just a mind fucking game to them. Because like I told you, he had the life first.
David Sheeser, my question to you, sir, is will you tell the truth? Because if you don't, I'm going to tell it for you.
Also, I'm just going to check my email just to see if we received it. I don't ever remember.
Right.
I just want to double check. So if I put something in writing, and it goes to court, I can stand by.
Yeah, put something in writing.
They won't. They even stop it all mail. That's what I'm saying. They stop the mail. They found stuff on Sunday.
Fouling on Sunday from home.
So how can something get found?
So what we gonna do? Let's go ahead and add your little picture with your information, ICE program, and privacy. Remind you, I'm all about telling the truth here.
But they got totally looked at as a sex offender.
Nothing here. Have I ever discussed it?
So I have one question.
Oh,
So,
what is my wife doing in the
in
meeting
order
with
for
me?
a client
She's the
to
victim,
participate
labeled
in your
victim.
guys' treatment, they have to be referred by the parole or probation officer.
Then we get information.
To find out if I'm anything or not, to see if I could be able to afford the treatment. And I'm placed on Social Security. They know that. So
Your PO would look at that and then would refer you for an assessment to see if it's recommended.
And that's what Douglas Hanson said.
Yeah.
And they didn't do none of that.
None of it.
They violated it for over a year because they know the therapist got to say if you, because they saying that I'm violating the conditions by being on the internet.
So my next question will be is if when you guys have people that are offenders, do you guys accept everybody or do they have to have a specific condition or can mental people that's mentally disabled in a way, can they be participated in your treatment as well?
Yeah. We don't do we don't do mental health treatment per se. I mean, we do sexual treatment.
Right, and the reason why I was
We have
asking,
clients that have mental health.
He's
and the
just
reason why I was
telling on them,
asking is because
and he
they're
don't
saying
even know
that
it.
the probation officers were saying that he wasn't allowed to come and talk to be part of the treatment because of the simple fact that he was
Mentally not capable to understand what's going on. I can
Dylan Arthur.
Most of all, I've treated sex offenders. I've taught sex offender classes in prison. So I don't know what you're doing. Like, Dylan Arthur got a lot of explaining.
He sure do.
Well, you just give you just give his letterhead to your lawyer.
They put me in jail and arrested me for not doing their own job.
You have to be referred.
They would look at first class.
Stephanie Allen told me that it would cost $5. That's what she told me. Well, Paul Lively told me he never even talked about it. He had me thinking I was in treatment, and that y'all did that vice versa.
Paul Lively was acting as the sex offender treatment
So you guys,
therapist.
you guys have your own specific counselors that work specifically just for this, not outside like mental health agencies that work with you guys, right?
You heard what you just said. Solely for sex. In order to be placed in sex offender treatment, you have to produce a victim record that's supposed to say committed the crime. So that way they can properly treat. It's my understanding.
I'm just gonna let it.
Judge Boyle.
Just leave it to whom it may, because it could be
That way you can use it.
any, yeah.
So what I'm asking him to do is give me a letterhead, sir.
Yep, he already did.
I've looked you up. I've did everything. I've investigated you, and you are in violation. So what I've done is created my Cornell notes, and basically, you wanna have your notes ready. You want to write down everything that's occurring and taking place, and that's what I've done. And that's why I say when you write in a book, you got to write the beginning, the middle, and the end. But most of all, you got to write the conclusion. You got to give people your story whole. You can't leave stuff out, right? So I began to write, and I began to state the violations in the writing. You know what I'm saying? Everything is dated, right?
That happened like earlier on.
And me and my wife had got to David Sheetzer before Stephanie Allen, everybody, right? And that's why I got this recording.
Yeah, and that's when we
So after I write him, this is what he sends to. And this is the letter that we talking about. This is what I'm asking him to do for me, is to give me a letterhead stating that you don't even know me. And Douglas Hanson said I was supposed to have this done. They was way outside their scope of time. So it says, Mr. Matthew Johnson has never been assessed or received any services from this agency, Innovative Counseling Enterprises, to the best of my recollection. I have never consulted with the professionals regarding Mr. Johnson's case. It is, if I can provide any information, please contact me by phone or email. David Sheetzer, right? That's what I had him do. A risk assessment tool. Oregon Revised Statute 181.800. Right? This is basically telling you what the levels is. A level 1 sex offender who present the lowest risk of offending are required a limited range of notifications. A level 2 sex offender who presents moderate risk of reoffending and requires a moderate range of notification. A level 3 sex offender who present the highest risk of offending or requires the widest range of notifications. And what they mean by that is you can call the Vine line, and if you're a victim, the Vine line will have your name, your number. The prosecutor is supposed to put all that up on there. But here is where I tell David Seisler that he's in violation of our Oregon Revised Statute Code 181.801, risk assessment, when a risk assessment tool is performed, right? And what I want to get down to is subsection 4 of that. It says, well, let's read C. The court shall notify the state board or of parole and post-prison supervision when the courts conditionally release or discharge a person described in paragraph A of this subsection, right? Within 60 days after the event, triggering the obligation to make an initial report, the state board of parole and post-prison supervision should conduct a risk assessment of a person utilizing a risk assessment tool described in Oregon Revised Statute Code. And I just read you that the risk assessment, as far as being level 1, 2, or 3, when a person is convicted of a crime in a 3rd degree, and this is important to my case right here too, because I'm not charged under none of these Oregon Revised Statute Codes in order for them to actually give me this risk assessment. If everybody was going by how the law is, when a crime convicted of a crime described, rape in the 3rd degree, sexual abuse in the 1st degree, is sentenced to a term of imprisonment in a Department of Corrections institution for the crime. The department shall conduct a risk assessment of a person utilizing the risk assessment tool described in the Oregon Revised Statute risk assessment tool before the person is released from custody. When a person is convicted of a crime and sentenced to the terms of incarceration in jail or is discharged, released, or placed on probation by the courts, which this subsection of it too applies to me, right? Because Douglas Hanson, Susan Tripp, Gail Ryder, they all orchestrated for me to be on probation. So it says when a person is convicted of a crime, of a sex crime, is sentenced to a term of incarceration in jail, or is discharged, released, or placed on probation by the courts, the supervisory authority, which is the Department of Community Justice, because that's who was supervising my probation, as defined in Oregon Revised Statute 144.087, supervisory authority defined, shall conduct a risk assessment of the person utilizing a risk assessment tool described in Oregon Revised Statute or RS tool no later than 60 days. No later than 60 days. This man was in violation, and he gave me the risk assessment a year, almost 2 years after the fact. And, I was man enough to still go and take the risk assessment. Man enough to go do it. I ain't done with you yet, David Seisler. Because this is evaluation date, November 7, 2016. After I talked to him, after me and my wife talked to him, he still proceeded to give me this risk assessment, right? So what we looking for in this risk assessment is very simple. right here. Simple. Like I said, it takes a lot of guts to do what I'm doing, but I don't give a damn who's reading along with me. If you read where it says, where was it? Right here. Mr. Johnson's offense does not meet the requirements to justify the use of a static R99 in a stable of 2007 in the assessment of his risk. And just look at the conclusion. Mr. Johnson is a 32-year-old African-American male convicted of promoting prostitution in addition to delivery of an oxycodone within 1,000 feet of a school. He does not appear to have excessive criminal history and denies any gang affiliations. He additionally has no other known sexual crimes in his history. The crime Mr. Johnson was convicted of appeared to be more related to his own financial gain and lifestyle. His primary areas of risk needed are more related to general criminality and exposure of treatment of these rather than to sexually deviant behavior. As such, sexual offense specific treatment is not recommended at this time. I'm not a sex offender. I'm not no sex offender. I went through, and you know what's so funny is what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you that I got a whole lot of information on David Schiesler.
Hey, Matthew, this is David from Innovative Counseling Enterprises. Finally got all the paperwork I need from Stephanie. So let's go ahead and set a time to meet and get this kind of put behind you. I know it's been kind of an irritation that this process has gone on so long. I have time next Monday, the 31st of October, in the afternoon. If you could give me a call back at 503-719-4704 and let me know if next Monday, the 31st in the afternoon will work for you. I would appreciate it. Let me just throw out 1 o'clock, but it can really be any time in the afternoon. But give a call and let me know if that works. If that doesn't, and you get the voicemail, if you could leave other days or times that'll work for you, and we'll get this scheduled. Thank you. Bye.
Still, I did everything in my power. I was showing them the law. I was telling them they were in violation. They were stripping me of all my rights. And you know what's so funny? They kept on arresting me for it. They kept on arresting me. Kept on doing it. They kept on doing it. I didn't have no chance. I didn't stand a chance on them. And all this information in David Schiesler's folder was supposed to be given to him in order to do the actual evaluation on me. But they didn't produce none of this evidence. They was holding it from me. And like I said, his evaluation do not go with
Stephanie Allen had really been like Johnson for case number 14C42686. I'm here to take a risk assessment with David Schiesler of the ICE program for probation officer Stephanie Allen.
David Schiesler. I recorded my whole conversation with you, and it's contradicting to your
here
own
with
report.
my wife, Jessica Uriah Johnson, who is not allowed to participate solely because Stephanie Allen had made contact with Mr. Sheetsler herself and made sure that was an instruction. So here I am going to check in for my risk assessment with, again, the ICE program, David Sheetsler.
So what you hearing me do?
They making me go through so much, God.
I talk to God a lot.
I have to do what I have to do for my kids and my wife. I'm being forced to take a risk assessment when I had sent tremendous amount of evidence to Mr. Sheetsler telling him that he was past his 60 days. But he still doesn't want to listen to me. Paul Lively was outside of his time and scope of doing this risk assessment. It's been over a year. Follow me as I uncover this corruption.
Oh, it's gonna get deep. So this is the video to the risk assessment, which is contradicting to me, because I get to play the video.
For this assessment, but I only have to pay $5 because I'm broke.
I paid $5 on a $400 interview. So who paid $395? The county? That sounds like something to audit. Hey, I don't know. See, what Douglas Hanson should have said is be careful. He
How you doing,
records.
sir? Are you ready to do this thing or what?
Give me 1 second. I just need to change this spot. Right upstairs.
I'm here on time, ready to get you out my life or whatever we need to do.
I'm a very smart guy, and what I'm doing is I'm asking the right things to this man, and I'm telling him, you forced to do this to me, and you doing it because you got paid. But where's your integrity at? Where is your morals at? You know that you can't violate me like this. You know I'm not supposed to talk about. You ain't telling me about your partner. You don't tell. That's confidential information. You forced me into this, and I proved that I wasn't a sex offender, and they hid the paperwork out. And now I'm in this hardship where they threaten to take me to jail.
I didn't have a chance to get the money order for the $5, so do you want me to go get that or do it afterwards?
You can do it afterwards.
All right, that sounds good.
I'll report to Stephanie until you pay up.
Say what?
I said I'll send out the report to Stephanie once you pay up.
Oh, okay.
Okay? You had a birthday yesterday, huh?
Man, you know I'm on this house arrest thing and I'm trying to, get through this situation here, one step at a time.
I was on
32 is
house
32,
arrest. So
that's how
when I was on house
but,
arrest, they could have been eavesdropping, breaking the confidentiality.
I didn't mean no harm about contacting my lawyer first. I want to protect myself solely because of I've been wanting to protect mostly my HIPAA rights. So
Which I didn't have.
Should I say
Wherever you like, whatever makes you comfortable.
I sat right in this man's face and I recorded the whole 2 hours that I had with the interview, right? And I'm telling you, I'm not gonna let this lady do the same thing to me. I'm not gonna let this lady even have a chance As a matter of fact, let me take you to what I'm talking about as far as this lady go, because they all have paperwork, all of them. It'll be under Tony Gray's, actually. So what I'm going to do is slide this over here so I can open up her files real quick. This is how they trying to do me. This is how they orchestrating and trying to do me. Hi, Matthew Johnson Jr. And I reached out to her because, you create a paper trail. You want them to know. And I wanted to create enough paper trail to expose to her the truth. That's all I did. And at the end of it, when I told her the truth, she basically said, I'm not responding to none of your emails until the 4th, until Monday. So when she do respond Monday, she ain't gonna respond. She thinking that I'm under some type of fear factor that if I don't do what she say, then I'm gonna be arrested for something that I'm already complying with. You can't take me to jail. And whoever this new elected DA is, if he's willing to do a crooked job, he just putting himself in a liability just because I'm gonna fight it. I just sent you an email, everything, and again, apologies for the delay. So they've been talking and talking and talking, right? You have to bring these emails. You have to, because if you don't show people what the hell is going on, they gonna continually think I'm lying. They gonna continuously think that I'm lying. I'm not telling the truth. I'm up to no good. But really, I'm really telling you the truth. Hello, Matthew. Thank you so much for the reminder call. My apologies for not sending an email after we spoke on November 16th. As we discussed during the conversation, we are scheduled to meet January 5th, 2021 at 1 o'clock p.m. I will send the Zoom invite in a separate email, which I am not taking. I'm not taking no interview with her. I don't feel like recording this lady. I don't feel like putting myself through the trauma, through the post-traumatic stress. I'm off of their probation. They don't have no jurisdiction over me. I'm not binded by their color of law. None of that. And then one thing they do know is that I know the law. They know I know the law, and they won't never let me get in front of a judge. But they use intimidation factor on me, saying if I don't comply with them, hold on, lady. I don't have to comply. I ain't on no parole. Your parole officer can't put no warrant out for me. None of that. So, and this is where this lady right here, Catherine, don't understand what's about to hit her with how smart I am as far as communicating with these people. Please review, sign, and return the attached forms back to me at your earliest convenience, either by scanning and emailing or via email. My office address is below, and my is below, and my signature is if needed. If you have any questions about this form, please give me a call so your questions can be fully answered before signature. And we call this number, right? We call this number. Let me call this number so y'all can see what they did to me. 503-307-0444.
confidential voicemail with Katie Gotch.
So that email is good. That number is good. But the number right here is no good. What's telling me, why would she put two different numbers? Why? I ain't gonna call her, harass her. I'm just calling to make sure that these numbers is correct. 503 260 260 5239. Is Kathy Gotch in?
Who?
Kathy Gotch.
You have the wrong number.
Oh, this number was on her email, so I decided to give her a call.
Yeah, I don't know who she is. You have the wrong telephone number. I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir.
But
They're just sending me around the chambers, right? And there's different numbers through all these emails. But we ain't here's another one. And I think I just caught that number right here. 5239. I just caught this number and they said she's not at that number. So she slipped up in this email by giving me her cell number right here. And I'm pretty sure when I call a few days from now and I do another live on her, this number is going to be changed. Why would you give me this number? And this is your information, your letterhead, all that. You serve the same purpose as David Schiesler. And David Schiesler said I don't need it. So what do I need to see you for, lady? What do I need to see you for? Nobody want to tell me. Nobody want to tell me what I need to see this lady for. She just doing Tiny Gray a favor and I'm going to bust her up too, right? I'm not signing none of this because I agree that I agree that this is a legal binding document and that I fully understand the rights, privacy, and privilege that I waive by signing this agreement. I'm not waiving any rights in any privacy agreement. That's the thing. They try to add all this in here. When I'm looking at this look just like a 7-page judgment. This looked like the work of Douglas Hanson. And I compare it by going into my information and I started saying, man, that looked familiar, man. All that looked familiar. What is they doing to me, right? Why is he writing it like it's a judgment? Why is he writing it like it's a special condition? Why is he writing it like it's a special condition? So what we got to look at, first of all, let's look at this indictment. Because this is what they supposed to get anyway. These sex offenders, therapists. If you receive an indictment and it don't have no listed victim on it or nothing like that, then what are you giving me treatment for? There's no listed victim. Douglas Hanson forged the grand four-person. The grand jury four-person, that's Douglas Hanson's signature all day. This is incorrect. I challenge this indictment to the highest level. And they know that I know that if I can prove that the indictment is illegal, there's no case. There's no case. If it took 2 cops to go and get an indictment, how many of us will be incarcerated? There will be no jail space. But what I wanted to compare is the fact that this is not Catherine Gotch speaking to me. This is not her. What? And I know that because it's the same writing. It's the same as a judgment. How can it be identical format to my judgment? How? You know, I tell you how, because Douglas Hanson is creating this up behind the scenes and he think I'm going to fall victim to it. No, I understand that my mental status is being evaluated in connection with this legal situation. Please, lady, give me a break. You can't assess me on my mental health when I've been under duress from this case since day one. You can't do it. You gonna try to do it if I sign the paperwork, but I'm not signing nothing. What I will do is say void out like I do everything else, because I'm not no sex offender. This, if recommended, right? What I wanna look for is where it says enter victim. Douglas Hanson had to enter a victim on the judgment in order to make the judgment complete, right? So right here, do not have contact with, I want you to see this, do not have contact with the victim without waiver compliance with the treatment in court or probation officer's permission. Enter victim's name. There's no victim. There's no victim. No prostitute, no case. No victim, no case. No, like, why is this hard for somebody to take a, where is Ben Crump? Ben Crump, I need you. I need you to apply pressure to the Marion County District Attorney's Office like no other, Ben Crump. Don't wait until they kill me, Ben Crump, to come and hold my wife's hand as she cried and mourned the loss of her husband for fighting so hard for his justice. I'm like the new day age Martin Luther King. I had a dream. I had a dream that one day I'd be released from this hell. I know that much. I had a dream one day I'd get my life back. I had a dream one day these people will leave me alone. No justice, no peace. That movement is dead, shot to the water. When we talk about take your knee off my neck so I can breathe, that means take your knee off my back, my neck, my head, to just take your knee out of my life so I could breathe, so I could have some space. I understand that this release is for the purpose of facilitating forensic counselation and not for therapy. Not for therapy? What is it? And not for therapy. And there is no therapist-patient privilege or confidentiality. You see that right there? There's no way I'm signing this, because I'm not getting treated as a regular client. I don't have any protections. What dummy in their right mind will sign some paperwork that ain't protecting they self? It clearly says it right there that I understand that this release is for the purpose of facilitating forensic consultation and not for therapy, and that there is no therapist patient privilege or confidentiality. What? So who, you can release this to anybody you want, even though it's slander and defamation of character? You mean to tell me I'm going to sign this and allow you to release it to whoever you choose you feel to slander me? No, I'm not doing that. I ain't take no, I'm not in the jury trial. I haven't took the stand. You can't make me go against my Fifth Amendment right to the United States Constitution. I'm not going to get up here and take an evaluation which can potentially set me up to coerce myself. What the hell? I'm not no dummy. These people is playing me to the left. playing me to the left for real. They really playing me to the left. And this lady, she's really trying to do the favor for Douglas Hanson. And they doing a good job. So they think. He already did the favor. Why do you need to double back? Why do you need to double back? That's what I don't understand with it all. That's what I don't understand with the whole thing. Is you need to double back. What else? I understand that Mrs. Gotch may testify about me in assessment and deposition. None of this matter because I'm not in criminal trouble. I'm not in court. I'm not in none of that. So she don't want me to sue her. So she want me to sign this, date it. I sign it and date it. Here, let me sign this and date it for her. I go to my little box right here. Oops. Go down to my little Dropbox. Where is it? Oh, I'm tripping. Go down to my little Dropbox and you'll see a signature right there. See, what they want me to do is just sign it electronically, right? But I'm not doing that. What I will do is, this is how you actually sign it. That's the signature that you get. That's the signature that you get. You get that signature. Void. And then I just delete it. Send it to her like that. Right? Void. Right here it says client. I'm not a client. And you're not my therapist. It's contradicting your own paperwork. Sign below. Sign your signature below indicates agreement with its terms and conditions, right? You see where it says client and therapist, but if you go and look at her very own paperwork up here, it tells you I'm not a client. Right here. Therapy, and there is no therapist patient privilege. I'm not a client. All her paperwork is contradicting. Oh, one thing that I didn't go let y'all read. I know I gotta go spend some time with my wife and kids. I gotta go. I have been asked to conduct an assessment on you in conjunction with your legal situation. While you may be self-referred, and that's a lie, I didn't self-refer. It is more likely you were referred for an evaluation by an external entity for the use in a legal or forensic setting. This may include, but not include limited to, referral during the court's process by your attorney, which I don't have. I don't have an attorney. Or the court's referral by the community correction agency, probation, parole, referral by the Department of Human Services, or referral by the Oregon Board of Parole and Post-Prison Supervision. This release is for the sole purpose of facilitating the forensic evaluation and is not for therapy. You are therefore not a patient of integrated clinical correctional services, and the therapist-patient confidentiality and privilege is not applicable. This means that this privilege of confidentiality is held by the person agency who hired me, and I will only speak to those person agency regarding you or the results of this evaluation. The goal of this assessment is to answer any questions about you and the difficulties you may have been experiencing. The assessment process is entirely voluntarily. How? How is it voluntarily if y'all trying to force me to do it and y'all saying if I don't do it, y'all gonna take me to jail for failure to register as a sex offender? The assessment process is entirely voluntary and is to the extent of your participation is up to you. However, information that is withheld, incomplete, wrong, or misleading may be far more damaging than if I'm able to find out about it now and put it in the context of my written report or testimony. It is important for us to discuss any concerns you have in the areas as if it may or may not be in your best interest to answer all the questions. If you have any concerns or verifications about your participation or answering any of the questions at any time during the assessment process, you may wish to consult with an attorney. Right? They saying that knowing that I can't get an attorney. Additionally, although I will try to be thorough when I interview you, I may ask about some areas or information that you believe are important. If so, please tell me so that way we can discuss it. Confidentiality and privacy. You have the right to refuse or end the evaluation at the time. However, you shall also be aware of the consequences of this. If you are court mandated to participate in an assessment process, I already did the assessment process. So it don't matter what they trying to do to me right here. They just trying to pump fear on me. I've already been in compliance. you have the rights to confidentiality except for the following legal exclusions: where there is a reason to suspect the concerns of abuse or neglect of a child, a dependent adult, or developmentally disabled person, whether there is a clear threat to do serious bodily harm to yourself or others, a court order is in place, such as a parole or DHS stipulation for evaluation that requires release of the information discussed during the assessment. None of that applies to me. Another entity refer sources is financially responsible for your evaluation and has requested completion of a written report. See, all they do is lie. All they do is lie. I have no way out because what they doing to me is extremely wrong. What they doing to me is extremely wrong, and they know it. How can I be a labeled sex offender to my own wife? Sorry, guys. I'm texting the godmother. So basically, I want to get down to this. You see how she has a letterhead? Her letterhead should be on every piece of paper involving her business, integrated clinical and correctional services. That is her letterhead. It should be on every piece of paper. So when you get right here, this is cheating my HIPAA. This is violating my HIPAA rights. They know that I have a problem with the Department of Community Justice, Tani Gray, and I'm not gonna ever trust that lady. That lady looked me dead in my face and lied to me. She have not held up her responsibility as far as investigating the parole officers and probation officers for their illegal dealings with me. So I'm not a client, so therefore I don't have to release my information. See, they acting like I'm on probation right now, right? Or parole. So basically, they saying in order for her to give me this evaluation, I have to sign a release of information to the Department of Community Justice, a place that I don't trust, who arrested me multiple times and broke the Constitution and damaged my life for, I don't know. I've been fighting this for a long time, right? Tani Gray. I'm going to expose her next, though, right? Authorization to disclose medical records. You don't need my medical. You don't need anything dealing with my medical to prove, to assess me as no sex offender. There's nothing in my medical that ever says that I'm charged with a sex offense. Never. Right here by authorized. And then they changed up this thing on me so many times that I don't even trust signing it. Tani Gray, Department of Community Justice. And Tani Gray is not my parole officer or probation officer. How is she referring me when that's supposed to be the job of the PO? This is the PO supervisor that's trying to cover for the wrongful things her two probation officers did. So you taking over? When did she become my probation officer? this information will be used on my behalf for evaluation, right? By initial the space. They already check marked all of the records, including mental health. They already checkboxed it, just like Douglas Hanson did to me when he supposedly said I stipulated. But see, they can't get away with it because they need my signature. What if I wanted to say not evaluation but treatment? Huh? What if I don't want you to have my mental health? I never was court ordered to do any mental health. So any of my mental health that I've been doing for the last 6 years is voluntary mental health. If I didn't go to the appointments, then they wouldn't have nothing to look for. And my wife told me, stop going to mental health. They're going to use it on you later on. And I kept on saying, no, I need some help. I need to go there. I need to tell these people what these people doing to me. I'm going to just report to them. So if I was to release my mental health to Tiny Gray, she will see the tremendous amount of reports of me complaining about her probation officers and they bad job, they misconduct. Again, you see where it says patient name? I'm not a patient. So I'm not signing this. And this is supposed to be from her. This is supposed to be a release of information from her. When I look at this lady, I could just tell she's a wicked lady. She gonna do some dirt for that money. She's trying to get extra stimulus pay. She's taking advantage of the Organ Care Act. They have no backbone. These people have no backbone at all. They have no backbone, and they ain't got no means to stop. They gonna crucify me until I tap out, but I ain't gonna top out. Because as you can see, the party began. Because I told her I had a whole lot of concerns with your information you sent me, and before I sign these papers, I would like to know what legal situation are you talking about. So in my email, when she responded to me, she danced around the whole thing. So let's just read her email so I won't have to double back. Hello, Matthew. Please see below my answers in blue. Let me know if you have any further questions. Take care. Katie, I'm chopping this lady up, right? So, my first question, here's her response. As an individual with the conviction of a registrable sex crime in Oregon, it is a legal requirement based upon 2013 legislation that all registrants receive a sex offender notification level designation that applicable for all residents, including those who are no longer on supervision. You're supposed to do this within. What is the reason for delay? What happened to due process? Y'all violated due process. And then I said, then I would like to know, how did I self-refer? This is far from the truth. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't, in fact, bring up the fact that the probation and parole officer Paul Allen Lively and Stephanie Allen volunteered to violate Oregon Revised Statute Code 540 evaluation and treatment, not doing their job as to what was stated in the law. For individuals no longer on supervision, the parole probation department of the county of conviction, in your case, Multnomah County, is tasked with completing the SONL designation for certain registrants versus the Board of Parole and Post-Prison Supervision. You were referred for this evaluation by Tiny Gray, Multnomah County Department Supervisor. She's the supervisor to the POs. Ain't that something? She is the supervisor to the POs. You said that you were asked to conduct an assessment in conjunction of my legal situation. Please explain to me what legal matter, because as it looked to the public and the people of this good state, my case 14C42686 is closed. Again, what legal situation are you talking about? Please see the first response. She couldn't tell me because she know that I know that they manipulating the fact that I'm under appeal. I do in fact have a appeal attorney named Jediah Peterson for O'Connor and Weber law firm downtown Portland, Oregon, and what she doing is trying to use that situation, and it's not popping because I see it. Right. The external entity that is willing to use the nonprofit money to pay you to do this illegal, outdated evaluation has not answered to any of my complaints on their probation officers for their part in helping label me a sex offender due to their job titles and also the crime that I was charged. They were not willing to look at any of the evidence that supports the truth. The judge, Susan Tripp, once said on court record, due to the potential liability you have out there, now I see in whole what the judge was talking about. Let me see if I can find, due to the potential liability you have out there.
They put their do something. What? And what is this? An offer on? I don't know anything about your criminal history. Hold on. Right? I don't know basically anything about this case except that the charges are. Okay. I don't know anything about you. Mr. Johnson. By my record, Mr. Johnson, if you go to trial, you're going to have to learn not to react. Okay? Because if you react, the jury's going to hate you.
A jury is going to hate me. A judge told me if I went to trial, the jury of my own peers is going to hate me. I didn't stand a chance.
The first time, when the officer basically blew her off and then came back to talk to her again, his testimony was that occurred on what day? Was it the day before?
That was May 15th, yes.
The day before.
The day before.
This is all wrong.
And then he recontacted her May 16th, and they set up that 1 o'clock in the afternoon meeting at the Shiloh Inn.
Wow.
And so, at least there was evidence.
It was evidence
that she was in Salem.
Yeah, that's it. That she was.
Yes, the 15th.
Yes.
And she indicated as such in that ad that she had placed.
That she had placed, but they said earlier that it was from my black laptop.
You have to register as a sex offender on prostitution?
Yes, Your Honor, that's yes.
Yes.
Did you not hear them? Did you not hear this judge? This judge asked, do you have to register as a sex offender for prostitution? The DA saying yes, and the public defender is trying to explain all at once. Listen to this.
You have to register as a sex offender on prostitution?
Yes, Your Honor, that's yes.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor. And then you hear a girl writer say promoting. So this judge don't even know what she doing. Can you say the Judiciary Board of Fitness should be investigating this illegal activity going on here?
It was under prescription. All right, thank you, Doctor. I appreciate your. This case is going to go to trial. We all know that. This case is going to go to motions. We all know that. So let's all share information so all the information gets on the record if that's appropriate. Okay?
And none of that happened.
Mr. Johnson, go ahead and stand up. I've heard a lot about this case through the motions.
That's it. You heard a lot about the case through the motions.
And you're entering. Like I said, I don't know anything about the case. I don't know anything about who you love or who you don't love or what happened or what didn't. I don't know any of that. I'm looking at a man who's in front of me who, if things go well, could get probation, and if things don't go well, could be doing a lot of time.
Coercion?
And so, when I look at that,
coercion? Using a judge to get what you want out of me. He used a judge. He took advantage of her. He took advantage of the judge's mental illness.
It is signed as a true.
Oh, let's see.
Right.
I'm trying to find it, but I can't find it nowhere.
There we go. State wish to call the case.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. This is State versus Matthew.
Matthew.
Anything you'd like to tell me?
That's what I did today. Those are the words I said to you. I'm almost done. I ain't gonna spend too much more time looking for it. I'm gonna leave that alone. But there was a liability in here. I don't like leaving y'all on scene about it, though.
Okay. Go ahead and have a seat. All right. Mr. Johnson.
When I find...
I'm trying to find it. So.
The reason I elicited his wife's statements was the effect on listeners. She's not here for this motion. Didn't need her to be.
I threw my hard fidget ball up in the air and I tried to catch it with one hand and it landed on my face.
And that I did it.
About the...
As this court heard.
I'm not gonna find it.
We'll continue to waive preliminary hearing until the status conference date.
Which was a lie.
I don't know anything about your criminal history. Hold on. By my record, you've had a number of attorneys appointed by the court.
Yes.
Do you remember how many?
I have 4 of them and 2 substitutes.
Okay. You've had 4 attorneys and 2 substitutions by the court.
Yes, no.
What about the other 2?
See, that was just setting me up.
This case is going to go to trial. We all know that. This case is going to go to motions. We all know that. So let's all share information so that all that information gets on the record
if that's appropriate. Okay?
Nope, ain't no okay, cause they burnt me. I got so many videos and it's all over the place. But like I said, when I tell you these two individuals, people is in trouble, I'ma sue them. I'ma sue them. She got a way out because she haven't gave me the evaluation, and I'm like I told her, if I was you, I wouldn't do it. Don't try to put it on me that I don't want to take it because that ain't the situation.
Given the amount of potential liability you have out there, whether or not that's something you should consider. Okay? Like I said, I don't know anything about the case. I don't know anything about who you love or who you don't love or what happened or what didn't happen. I don't know any of that.
It seems to me Susan Tripp is throwing Douglas Hanson under the bus. She says she don't know nothing about the fact who I love, who I don't love. That's a lie because Douglas Hanson told her he illicit my wife. In fact, the listening didn't need her here, Your Honor. I forget where it was.
This court.
I think it's down here.
The reason I elicited his wife's statements was effect on listener. She's not here for this motion. Didn't need her to be.
So which one is it, Tripp? You don't know who it is. And like I told this lady, Tripp said something to me about a liability. Where was I at? See right here? Trial Judge Susan Tripp once said on court record due to the liability. Listen.
Given the amount of potential liability you have.
Potential liability, it means future, after this, before this, all that. And she's in liability right now, and she know it. She know it. All right, where was I at? The term forensic within the mental health field simply means that service being provided and released to the law or legal settings in some way. This evaluation is released to a legal requirement outlined with the statutes and therefore is a forensic evaluation. And void out, you're lying. The privilege of confidentiality is held by the person, agency who hired you. Who would that be? If you said in your letter that I self-refer, my concern with the people that you are talking about is the major conflict of interest that I have and that massive complaints that I have on the whole Department of Community Justice, both on the adult side and juvenile side. No. As noted above, you were not self-referred. You were referred by Multnomah County Department of Community Justice, but her letter to me said that I self-referred. She just lying too much for me. I can't do this without having an attorney actually look into her and see who paid her nonprofit money to do this outdated evaluation. If she know what's good for her, she'll leave me alone. And she'll go tell the truth. Right? It's your choice whether or not you want to participate in the evaluation process. I encourage clients to participate as it provides you with the opportunity to participate in the level designation process, as most individuals are not level 3s. And per state statute, if someone chooses not to participate in an evaluation process, it results in an automatic level 3. Y'all been had me at a level 3. Y'all been had me at a level 3. So let's get off of her paperwork, and what I want to do is go into Tani Gray's paperwork. This gonna be my last. This gonna be my last one. Cause see, they trying to work angles with me, and what I told her, I've waited over a month and a half for a response getting leveling and classification done, as it is holding me back, stopping me from pursuit of happiness. I'm in criminal court due to lack of registration as a sex offender when I had never been classified or leveled while on probation with probation officers Stephanie M. Allen and Paul Lively. In your email, you asked me to give you a week. I have done that. What is the reason for delay? I have been working with mental health therapist at Lukdorf, who's also been trying to make the efforts on getting this situation handled while I'm being shackled in the judicial system by misconduct done at your office involving your parole and probation officers. Due to the misconduct, I'm reading this. I'm reading this. Due to the misconduct of these probation officers, a conflict of interest has occurred in my civil liberty rights to practice religion was even taken away from me through Stephanie Allen, willing to lie to my pastor in order to put a safety plan dealing with minors. The problem has always been I never was charged with a child abuse case, nor was I classified or leveled. I was forced into taking a deal with both Multnomah County and Marion County. Knew there was no child victim to support the reason why I must register as a sex offender for life. I have added Pastor Daniel Hughes into this email. For support, and also bring his awareness up on the racial ethnic disparity problem that has occurred within Multnomah County Community Justice Building. Enough is enough. I want my life back. How am I being charged for failure to register as a sex offender when the Department of Community Justice have failed to do their job at classifying me or leveling me? This is slander and defamation of my character to the Department of Community Justice holds. The Department of Community Justice holds jurisdiction over classifying and leveling this case. Why is no one willing to do their job? And who is instructing people? Maybe it's the Department of Justice, Douglas Christopher Hanson. Digital stakeout is real, and I know all about it. Sorry this is a long read, guys, but we're going to get through this. Thank y'all for watching. I have also added my public defender, Jason Stings, who is defending me in a failure to register as a sex offender misdemeanor case. It is your guys' responsibility to classify and level me so that way this would not happen. My life has been put into limbo due to the misconduct which violates civil liberties and constitutional rights. Scary thing is there is not even a child victim to support these hateful charges which got me in the court today. Pursuant to 42 U.S.C., this is the United States Constitution 1983, I allege deprivation of rights guaranteed to me by the First, Fourth, Fifth, and 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution and the right not to be discriminated against because of my race pursuant to 42 U.S.C. 1981 and 1985. And I'm stating all these federal statute codes, and I'm telling this lady about. This is me talking to Tiny Gray, and watch how she act after she get this email from me. The state's offer is contradicting to what the law requires of being a registered sex offender. I have provided that letter to you, Mrs. Gray, from the Department of Corrections, state that they have no jurisdiction to classify me or level me in order to give me the relief, which I also fill out the packet sent to DOC. DOC then sent back the packet and told me to reach out to the Department of Community Justice, who has not been willing to work with me. This has been, in fact, been a setup to take me away from my family. I have tried for over 3 years with getting help, nothing but, hey, when will someone do their job? The probation officer, Stephanie Allen, made up many lies to release me from the supervised probation, even took me through court in Marion County for 11 months, double jeopardy. She never told me to register. In fact, she told me to move back to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and to forget this case ever happened to me and kick me off of probation. What's the remedy for that? I have, in fact, been set up. I plan to file a lawsuit. I plan to file a lawsuit, being that the Department of Community Justice have not dealt with my tort claim notice, which I'm sure you are aware of. Thank you for your time. So, I keep writing Tiny Gray. So I say, I have a few questions for you dealing with the release of information you are asking me to done. For example, the fact that I'm not a client or on parole or probation. As you know, I have been discharged from probation I was on. By the release of information from it reads, if I'm still on some kind of probation again, this is not true. Due to the conflict of interest between Paul Allen Lively and Stephanie Allen, my medical rights were violated and stripped away from me to please the probation terms. Now you are asking me to sign a release to whom? And what she was going to do is sign this release to Catherine Gotch, and she wasn't telling me about it. So I was actually questioning Tiny Gray, not even knowing who this lady was. While on probation, I never was offered any treatment by these release. It states that once by this release, it states that once the person is off probation or parole, then the information is no longer valid. So please explain to me this form. I have been done so wrong by the Department of Community Justice. It's hard for me to trust. Who's the mental health provider you want me to need to release my information for? This is the sex offender treatment evaluator. Like, there's many questions that I have about this release of information. What information do you want me to check off on this form to send back, and who is it for? And who is this form going to? Matthew Johnson. Tiny Gray. Thank you, Matthew. Thanks for your response. You are correct that you are not on supervision. Don't return the form I provided. I am working on this from this end and will check in with you next week. More like next year. She didn't get back to me until a year later. Look at 2019. Please bear with me as this is a new process for us. Hello, attached is the release of information form we talked about this morning. Please sign and return it to me. We can get you scheduled. Let me know if you have any questions. She was just trying to force me to sign a release of information. And it doesn't add up to Oh yeah, let me show you. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me show you why I don't trust these people. Look at, there's 2 different release of information that they want me to sign. They say is authorized to disclose medical records. Authorization for disclosure of information, right? So they trying to hit me with 2 different releases. I ain't going for it. Tony Gray is bad news. I understand that if DCJ is paying for all of or part of my treatment, a current authorization must be in effect. They ain't following the law. They not. This whole reading of this release information ain't correct. It's made up to me. I'm telling you. They combined a lot of it and then they try to get me to sign it. They orchestrating their own little moves here. And I ain't going for it. Look at it. Just look at it. This the authorization is effective as of the date signed below and will remain in effect until counsel. While on supervision, I may request in writing to counsel any disclosure I have authorized that is not otherwise subjected to the court order. This authorization will automatically cancel when there is a formal or effective termination or revocation of my current probation, post-prison supervision, parole supervision. A cancellation will not apply to information disclosed prior to that. See, they orchestrated the paperwork. Cause up here, you see these dots right here. They over here. It's a little bit different, but it's right here. It's in information consent for forensic assessment. No way. No way. I'm not a client. Lying. I'm off probation. Off of it. So what I did is put both of them together. And this is what I received from Tony Gray in order to force me to take an evaluation with this lady right here. This is what...
Hey, couldn't.
Hold on. You see this part right here? Where it says your appointment is scheduled for January 5th, 2021 at 1 p.m. Can't think you must contact that. But your response during this interview is essential for accurate determining your classification. Failure to participate in this process could result in you being classified at a higher level than you would otherwise be, and could result in penalties up to including prosecution for failure to report as a sex offender. You will not have to pay for your initial assessment. We will advise you of your assessment score, which will determine your classification within the sex offender notification level. Please, I'm gonna be married to my wife forever. And they trying to force me to do something that they should have done when I was on their probation. And like I told them, they can't bind me up and do nothing to me because I've already served the time. I've already did everything. What I mean by that? See, the paperwork is blank. Everything is blank. Anything that they dealing with me on, I kept all the paperwork. Sex offender notification, level, and classification. This has to be filled out. And none of it, they already scored me as a high. They put me at 20. High risk. They put me at the highest. Can't believe they did this to me. And they didn't, I didn't sign none of this. I didn't sign none of it. So where's the help? Where's the, I don't get no help. My fault. I don't know how many times they forced me into registering as a high risk predatory level 3 sex offender. You'll see, and I'm only gonna give you'll see a whole line. I kept all my paperwork, all of it. I'm just gonna scroll down real fast. I kept all of it. All this is big checks. All of it is big checks, if you ask me, because y'all leveled me and y'all didn't. I end it right there, but thank you guys for watching. You guys have a blessed day, and stay tuned for more videos.